Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something I think weighs on pretty much every parent's mind. How do we actually prepare our kids for this really complex and unpredictable world?
Hmm.
It's that feeling, wanting to give them more than just stuff, wanting to build real, solid mental and emotional tools, real resilience.
Yeah, that deep inner strength. It's a huge ask.
Exactly. So our mission today is kind of a shortcut for you. We're diving straight into an ancient philosophy, Stoicism, and looking at how its timeless ideas can be incredibly practical for parenting right now.
Surprisingly practical, really.
We've gone through a stack of sources, pulled out the key insights, the nuggets to help you raise kids who are maybe a bit calmer, more confident, and importantly, self-reliant, able to handle things.
And it's crucial we get this right from the start. When people hear stoicism, they often think stiff upper lip, emotionless,
Yeah.
cold almost.
Right, the small stoic.
Exactly. But the ancient capital S stoicism, that's totally different. David Fiedler, one of our sources, makes it clear it's a really sophisticated way to navigate life's challenges with wisdom, with inner peace.
So it's not about not feeling.
Not at all. It's about, as Fiedler puts it, transforming emotions through understanding, not just squashing them down.
Okay, that's a huge difference. So for you listening, exploring this with us today isn't just theory. It's about getting actionable insights, real tools.
Tools for fostering that calm, that confidence, that self-reliance in your kids.
And maybe, just maybe, finding a bit more for ourselves too, right?
Almost certainly. We'll touch on big ideas like the dichotomy of control sounds complicated, but it's fundamental.
Yeah, managing emotions, building character, even how to see obstacles differently. So let's unpack this. All right, first things first, we need to clear up this big misunderstanding. That image of a stoic person, small as being unfeeling, cold, maybe just shrugging everything off.
Yeah, totally detached.
That's the popular image, but our sources are really clear.
Okay.
It's miles away from what ancient Stoicism, capital S, was actually about.
Oh, completely. Fiedler drives this point home. He says, quote, Stoicism has nothing to do with keeping a stiff upper lip or bottling up your emotions. The meaning has just shifted dramatically over time.
So the original Stoics, like Epictetus.
They were explicit. They said the goal isn't to be unfeeling like a statue. It's not about becoming a robot. It's about a very specific kind of emotional wisdom, a kind of mastery.
Okay, so if it's not bottling up feelings, what is it? This is where it gets really interesting for parenting, I think.
It really is. They actually developed something they called a therapy of the passions. Think of passions here not just as any feeling, but as those extreme, negative, overwhelming emotions.
Like uncontrolled anger or debilitating fear.
Exactly. Things like intense anger, fear, anxiety, the kind that hijacks your thinking. Their goal wasn't to repress these, but, as Fiedler says, to transform them through understanding.
Transform them through understanding. Okay, that's key. So for parents, this means we shouldn't teach kids to just hide their feelings, to pretend they're fine when they're not.
Absolutely not. It's about giving them the tools to understand and process their emotions constructively.
Can you give an example?
Yeah.
Like the sandcastle thing.
Yeah, perfect example. Your kid's sandcastle gets kicked over. A small stoic response might be, don't cry, it's nothing. But a capital S stoic approach, it's different.
How so?
You help the child acknowledge the feeling, the sadness, the frustration, it's natural. But then you gently guide them to see the difference between that initial feeling and a destructive passion.
And the passion is?
The passion is that overwhelming reaction driven by a judgment like, this is the worst thing ever, that kid is pure evil. It's often irrational, right?
The tantrum.
Exactly. The therapy is about helping them examine the judgment behind that extreme reaction. Is it really the worst thing ever? What else could you do? Maybe rebuild it, move spots.
So it empowers them. Give them perspective instead of just being swept away.
Precisely. It teaches them to pause and think, not just react blindly.
Now, some people might hear this focus on internal control and think, okay, sounds a bit self-absorbed, maybe even callous towards others.
That's another common misconception, and it's really important to address. The sources actually show the opposite. The ultimate goal is about cultivating deep fellow feeling, humanity.
Feeling.
Yeah, empathy, connection. Seneca, a major Stoic figure, wrote to his friend Lucilius saying, the first thing which philosophy undertakes to give is fellow feeling with all men. In other words, sympathy and sociability.
Okay, so it's explicitly not about being detached and isolated.
No, Seneca's making it clear. Understanding ourselves, managing our own inner world, actually equips us better to connect with and understand other people.
So Lopez and Pigliucci are right when they say the goal isn't turning us into lumbering robots incapable of emotional responses because that would strip us of our humanity.
Exactly. It's about becoming more fully human, in the best sense. More rational, yes, but also more connected, more empathetic.
So for you listening, for the parent, this is powerful. Stoic parenting isn't about raising kids who are aloof or don't care.
Quite the opposite. It's about fostering empathy, connection, a sense of responsibility within the family, within the community, helping them engage thoughtfully with the world, not withdraw from it.
Okay, let's move to what's arguably the absolute bedrock of Stoicism, something incredibly practical for everyday life, especially parenting. It's called the dichotomy of control.
Mm-hmm. This is fundamental. You really can't understand Stoicism without grasping this first. Epictetus, the former slave turned massively influential philosopher, he puts it right at the start of his handbook, The Enchiridion.
What does he say?
He just lays it out, plain and simple. Of things, some are in our power and others are not. Jonas Salzgeber, in our sources, calls this the cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, something to keep ready at hand, like a mental tool.
Okay, sounds simple, but let's really break it down. What is in our power, according to Epictetus?
It's our inner world, essentially. Our opinions, our impulses, our desires, our aversions, basically our judgments about things and our responses, how we choose to react.
Our thoughts, our choices, our attitudes.
Yes, that's the realm we command. Nobody can force you to think or judge something in a certain way without your internal consent.
And what's not in our power?
Pretty much everything external. Our body, we can influence it, but can't ultimately control its health or aging. Our property can be taken away. Our reputation, what others think of us. External events, the weather, the economy, other people's actions, outcomes of things.
So like whether my kid wins the soccer game.
Exactly. Or the grade they get, or if someone is mean to them. Those things are outside their direct, immediate control.
So what's the point of this distinction? Why is it so important?
The point, as Salzgeber highlights, is to make the best use of what is in our power and take the rest as it happens. It's about focusing our energy, our attention, our efforts where they actually matter on our own responses and choices, and not wasting them trying to control the uncontrollable.
That frees up a lot of mental energy, doesn't it?
It really does. It combats frustration and anxiety about things we simply cannot change.
And for kids, this is huge. This is a foundational tool for them to learn early on, right?
Absolutely vital. Think about all the things kids get upset about. A bad grade, not being picked for a team, a friend being unfair, a sibling not sharing.
All the time.
The dichotomy of control helps them see, okay, what part of this situation can I actually influence? I can't force the teacher to change the grade or make my friend be nice or compel my sibling to share right now.
But they can control.
They can control their effort on the next assignment. They can control how they respond to the friend, maybe calmly state how they feel, or choose to play with someone else. They can control their attitude about the sibling, maybe try asking again later, or finding something else to do.
It shifts them from feeling like a victim of circumstance.
Exactly, to feeling like they have agency, like they have choices. It teaches self-responsibility. Instead of blaming outwards, they look inwards. What can I do? How can I respond virtuously?
Salzgeber mentions a child losing a game. They can't control the loss, but they control their attitude, their effort in practice.
Right. It becomes an opportunity to practice your skills, not just in the game, but in self-management, in graciousness, in resilience.
It also helps them navigate setbacks, which are just unavoidable.
The sources mention Marcus Aurelius talking about how external circumstances, even harsh ones, can contribute to the health of the universe, maybe a big picture view. But more practically, they always offer opportunities for growth. Find the lesson.
I love that Epictetus metaphor, the difference between an alienable leg, the body, which can be harmed or fettered.
And the inalienable self, the mind, the rational will. He literally said, you can fetter my leg, but not even Zeus can overcome my volition.
Wow, that's powerful. So even if things are bad externally, your inner core, your power to choose your response remains free, untouchable.
That's the core message of resilience right there. You teach kids that their true strength lies within, in their choices, their character, not in controlling the outside world.
Let's make it super practical. Kid gets a bad grade, feels awful. Using this.
Okay. The grade itself. Done. Not in their power anymore. Lamenting it, blaming the teacher, feeling like a failure that's focusing on the uncontrollable outcome.
So shift the focus.
Shift the focus to what is in their control. Improving study habits? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Asking the teacher for help? Yes. Understanding why they struggle? Definitely. Those are constructive actions within their power.
It's applying those natural preconceptions, as Epictetus called it, separating what's within our power from what isn't.
It's not just about feeling better, it's strategic. It channels their energy into productive action and builds that sense of agency. They always have a choice in how they respond. That's their ultimate power.
Okay, so this idea of control naturally leads us to another huge Stoic insight.
Mhm.
The power of our judgments. How we think about things is what really drives our feelings.
This is absolutely central. Epictetus nailed it. It's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things. It sounds simple, but it's revolutionary.
And modern psychology agrees.
Completely. Donald Robertson points out this is basically the foundation of cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. They call it cognitive distancing.
Cognitive distancing, like stepping back from your thoughts.
Exactly. It's a metacognitive process thinking about your thinking, creating a space between an event happening and your automatic interpretation of it, seeing your thoughts as thoughts, not necessarily as reality.
So it's not just event reaction. There's a step in the middle.
Yes, Farnsworth explains it as a three-stage process. 1, event happens. 2, we form a judgment or opinion about that event. 3, we react emotionally to the judgment. Our job is to catch that middle step.
To notice the judgment, question it, maybe bring some reason to it before we just explode or crumble.
Precisely. To interrupt that automatic cascade from judgment to overwhelming emotion.
This feels incredibly relevant for teaching kids emotional
Oh,
intelligence.
massively. Instead of just reacting instantly when a sibling teases them or a plan gets canceled, they can learn to pause. Just take a breath, examine that first thought. This is awful. He always ruins everything.
And question it. Is it really awful? Does he always ruin everything?
Right. That pause creates space for a more measured response. Instead of yelling, maybe they can say, I feel frustrated when you tease me, or I'm disappointed the playdate was canceled. It's about responding, not just reacting.
Marcus Aurelius had that amazing quote. Something about letting go of the opinion, I am harmed.
Yes. If you let go of the opinion, I am harmed, the feeling of being harmed will disappear, and when the feeling is gone, so is any real harm. It's profound.
How can we translate that for kids? Like the name-calling example.
Okay, someone calls your child a name. The hurt really bites if the child agrees with the judgment hidden in that name, if they think, maybe I am dumb.
But if they can let go of that opinion, if they can think, that's just their opinion, it doesn't define me.
Then the feeling of being harmed shrinks, maybe even vanishes. It's about not giving away your power to someone else's words or judgments. You decide if you're harmed.
This whole idea judgments creating emotions applies directly to tough feelings like anger, fear, anxiety too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. John Sellers states it clearly. Emotions are the product of judgments we make. And the crucial implication, we are in complete control of our emotions and responsible for them.
Complete control sounds hard.
It is hard. It takes practice. It doesn't mean we won't feel anger or fear, but it means we have the ultimate agency over how we interpret situations and therefore how intensely or destructively we experience those emotions.
What about anger specifically? Marcus Aurelius had advice there.
He did. He stressed that someone else's actions can't harm your character. What truly matters is whether you're a good person or a bad person, and that's down to you alone.
So someone cuts you off in traffic or says something rude. Their action doesn't make you a bad person. Only your reaction can diminish your character.
Exactly. Their bad behavior reflects on them. Your response reflects on you. That perspective can be a powerful shield against letting other people's actions dictate your inner peace. You can teach kids that someone being mean doesn't have to make them mean in return.
Now, there was that interesting, maybe tricky point from Seneca about feigned anger.
Ah, yes. That requires careful handling. Seneca suggested, not that we should become genuinely angry, he knew, that disrupts our own peace, but that sometimes, with people who behave like a child or are shallow individuals.
The ones who don't respond to calm reason.
Right. He suggested you might need to pretend to be angry to motivate them or set a boundary because rational pleas aren't working.
How does that land in parenting? It sounds potentially manipulative. We don't want to teach kids to be fake.
It's definitely not about being fake or teaching insincerity, and certainly not about actually losing your temper. It's more about calibration. Think of it less as feigning anger and more as adopting a firm, serious demeanor when needed for corrective action.
So using a stern tone, a serious expression, even if you're calm inside.
Exactly. Especially with younger kids, sometimes gravity and clear boundaries conveyed with seriousness are more effective communication than a lengthy rational explanation they might not grasp yet. The key, as Seneca implied, is doing it with minimal disruption of our own tranquility. It's strategic communication, not losing control.
Okay, that makes more sense. What about fear and anxiety? Stoicism has tools there too, sounding like CBT.
Very much so. Robertson mentions techniques like remaining grounded in the present, not letting your mind spiral into what ifs. Also, spotting worry when it begins, just noticing it without judgment and gaining cognitive distance, seeing anxious thoughts as just thoughts, not facts.
And that premeditation of adversity thing comes in here too.
Yes, calmly thinking through potential difficulties actually helps habituate you emotionally. It lessens the shock and fear if things do go wrong. For kids, it might be talking through, okay, what's the plan if you forget your homework? Or what could you do if you don't make the team? Not dwelling on negatives, but building mental preparedness.
Beyond our own feelings, Stoicism also guides how we talk about others,
Mhm.
right? Epictetus on speaking without judging.
Yes, this is incredibly practical wisdom. His example is brilliant. Someone bathes in haste. Don't say he bathes badly, but in haste. Someone drinks a lot of wine. Don't say he drinks badly, but a lot.
Why the distinction?
Because in haste, or a lot, are factual observations. Badly is a judgment. And Epictetus asks, until you know your reasons, how do you know that their actions are vicious? We rarely have the full picture.
So stick to the facts, hold back on the judgment, unless you really know the whole story. Pigucci emphasizes this.
Right. Assent to facts if they're observed, but abstain from judgments, especially negative ones, when you lack information. It's intellectual humility.
And for parents, how do we teach this?
Encourage kids to describe what they see, not just jump to conclusions. Instead of, that kid is mean, maybe try, that kid took the ball without asking. It separates the action from a fixed negative label about the person.
It promotes curiosity instead of condemnation. I wonder why they did that.
Exactly. It fosters understanding, empathy, and less conflict. It teaches them to observe carefully before judging harshly, which is a crucial life skill.
So much of this comes back to character, doesn't it? Raising resilient kids isn't just about coping skills, it's about who they are. And for Stoics, character, specifically virtue, was, well, everything.
It was the ultimate goal, the only true good. This idea comes straight from Socrates, and the Stoics, like Epictetus, really ran with it.
The only true good. What does that actually mean?
Lopez and Pigliucci explain it well. Socrates argued, the only thing that can always benefit us is virtue, and the only thing that can truly hurt us is the lack of virtue. It flips everything on its head.
So things like money, health, reputation,
Mhm.
those aren't the main goal.
Nope. Those are what the Stoics called indifference. They aren't inherently good or bad. They can be used for good or bad purposes, but they don't define your worth or happiness.
Wealth can build hospitals or fund corruption. Health can be used for service or for vanity.
Precisely. They're just tools. Their moral value depends entirely on how a virtuous person uses them. So chasing those things as the ultimate goal is misguided. The real goal is cultivating inner virtue.
And what are the Stoic virtues? There are four main ones, right?
Yes, the four cardinal virtues, which they believed covered the essence of good character. 1. Wisdom, or prudence. Practical wisdom, knowing what's truly good, bad, and indifferent, making sound judgments in life. 2. Justice, fairness, integrity, treating others rightly, fulfilling our duties. 3. Courage, not just physical bravery, but moral courage, facing difficulties, standing for right, enduring hardship. 4. Moderation, or temperance, self-control, balance, avoiding excess and pleasure, desire, even anger, discipline.
Wisdom, justice, courage, moderation.
As Sellers puts it, mastering these is what it means to have a good character and to be a good human being. That's the target.
So for parents, this gives a clear moral compass.
Mhm.
Focus on cultivating these qualities in your kids, not just on grades or achievements or popularity.
Exactly. It's about the person they're becoming, their inner moral architecture.
Now, what does the Stoics think about human nature itself? Were we born inherently flawed, or...
This is fascinating. They actually held a really optimistic view about human nature, according to Sellers. They believed we are born with the potential, the natural inclination, to mature into rational, virtuous adults.
So we're naturally geared towards being reasonable and decent social animals.
That was their view. We have an innate capacity for reason and cooperation. However,
There's always a however.
Sellers points out that many things can interrupt and interfere with that process. Bad influences, poor education, societal corruption. These things can derail our natural development.
And when that happens,
We end up living out of sync with our deepest natural inclinations. And that, they believed, is the root of unhappiness. We're unhappy when we aren't living according to our true, rational, virtuous nature.
Epictetus really believed we have the resources within us, though, even if we don't use them.
He did.
Yeah.
Long notes Epictetus believed we are innately equipped for a Stoic life, even if we usually fail to acknowledge and utilize those inner resources. The potential is there.
That's incredibly encouraging for parents, isn't it? It means we're not trying to force something unnatural onto our kids. We're nurturing something that's already potentially there.
Exactly. Moral education becomes less about imposing external rules and more about guiding and cultivating that natural development towards reason and virtue, providing the right conditions for their inherent goodness to flourish.
And education itself was huge for the Stoics. Epictetus taught future leaders. Right.
Yes, his students were often young Romans preparing for administrative careers. Stoicism wasn't just armchair philosophy, it was practical training for living well and leading responsibly.
And Epictetus' own teacher, Musonius Rufus, had some surprisingly modern views.
Remarkably so. A. Long highlights that Musonius argued girls should be trained no differently from boys and were just as capable of philosophy. This was radical for the time, showing a commitment to reason and virtue being universal, not limited by gender.
That's fantastic. And the Socratic influence, the self-examination.
Absolutely key. Epictetus saw Socrates as the model. He said the beginning of education is the scrutiny of terms, really examining what we mean by good, bad, justice. Right. Critical thinking about our core values.
So for parents, it's about encouraging that moral and intellectual digging, asking why, challenging assumptions.
Yes, foster critical thinking, self-reflection, help them clarify their own values. And, following Musonius, challenge any lingering gender stereotypes about who gets to think deeply or pursue certain kinds of knowledge or virtue. Ensure all kids get that chance.
Okay, life throws curveballs. That's a guarantee. Stoics didn't just accept this. They seemed to actively use adversity, right? There's that practice. Premeditatio malorum.
Yes, the premeditation of adversity, or negative visualization, as some call it now. It sounds gloomy, but it's actually incredibly powerful.
What does it involve? Thinking about terrible things happening.
Sort of, but strategically. It's deliberately contemplating potential misfortunes, setbacks, loss, even your own mortality, not to be morbid, but for specific reasons.
Which are?
Irvine, Feidler, and Robertson all talk about this. One reason is to appreciate what you have right now more fully. Another, perhaps more crucial, is to mentally prepare yourself, to inoculate yourself against the shock and emotional devastation if those things do happen.
So it reduces fear and anxiety about the future. Robertson said something about learning how to die is unlearning how to be a slave.
Exactly. Freedom from the fear of loss, freedom from the fear of death, that's profound liberation. If you're not terrified of losing things, you're less easily controlled or manipulated by that fear.
Seneca himself struggled with this, though, didn't he, when his friend died?
He did. It's a very human moment. Fideler recounts how Seneca grieved intensely for his young friend Serenus, admitting he'd never imagined it possible for his death to precede mine. He hadn't properly premeditated that specific loss.
So even the masters needed the practice.
It shows it's a lifelong practice, not a one-time fix. Seneca learned from it, concluding we should continually think as much about our own mortality as about all of those we love. Whatever can happen at any time can happen today.
He saw his own lapse. Okay, how do we adapt this for kids without terrifying them? We can't have them constantly dwelling on disaster.
No, absolutely not. It needs careful adaptation. It's less about dwelling on death and more about building general mental preparedness for everyday difficulties.
Like what?
Like normalizing challenges, gently letting them know that things won't always go their way. They'll face disappointment, unfairness, maybe losing something they value, but, and this is key, reminding them they have the inner resources to cope.
So it's building mental toughness, resilience, but also appreciation. Irvine mentioned living each day as if it were the last to get the full value.
Yes, it has that dual effect. It prepares you for potential hardship while simultaneously heightening your gratitude for the present good. For a kid, it might be mentally rehearsing positive coping strategies for common setbacks. If I don't get picked, I can still congratulate the team and practice harder. Or, if the trip is canceled, maybe we can plan something fun at home.
And this connects to that other powerful idea. Turning obstacles into opportunities. The obstacle's the way idea.
Yeah, precisely. Marcus Aurelius wrote about turning the obstacle upside down. It's not just getting over the obstacle, it's using it.
How does that work? Salzgiber used the fire analogy.
Yeah, a fire needs fuel. Obstacles become the fuel. He says, Every obstacle gets consumed and used as fuel. Without challenges, we stagnate. Obstacles only feed you and make you stronger.
So obstacles aren't blocking the path, they are the path.
In a very real sense, yes. They are the opportunities for growth. Saltzgaber emphasizes, without this opportunity, we can't grow.
So for parents, the reframe is huge. Don't just shield kids from setbacks. Help them see setbacks not as failures, but as
Stepping stones, opportunities to practice virtue, to live with or mate that concept of expressing your highest self. Every challenge is a chance to strengthen character, practice resilience, wisdom, courage, or moderation.
no external event can stop you from choosing a virtuous response.
Exactly. The obstacle becomes the very material you work with to become better.
This reminds me so much of Viktor Frankl and logotherapy.
The connection is incredibly strong. Frankl, surviving the Holocaust, wrote powerfully about the power of choice, the ultimate freedom to choose one's attitude even in the most horrific circumstances.
He found that things like imagination, humor, a sense of purpose, choosing your response, they were essential for survival.
Essential for psychological survival, yes. Even when everything else was stripped away, the choice of attitude remained. Sagi, writing about Frankl, mentions this.
And Frankl's idea that meaning isn't something we invent, but something we discover.
Yes, that meaning is already embedded within reality. Our task is to make choices that reveal the meaning that is already present, even in suffering.
Which sounds almost exactly like the Stoic view.
Yeah.
We don't control events, but we always control our response, our attitude, the meaning we ascribe.
It's a profound parallel. Both philosophies place the power firmly within the individual's inner world, in their capacity for choice and finding meaning, regardless of external fortune.
So the takeaway for parents is empowering kids to know they choose their response, that they can find meaning even when things are tough.
Absolutely. Teach them that their character isn't defined by what happens to them, but by how they face it, how they choose to respond. That's where true strength and resilience are forged.
We've talked a lot about inner strength, but Stoicism wasn't just about individual resilience in isolation, was it? They deeply valued community and connection.
Oh, fundamentally. Humans are social creatures. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, we are born to help one another. That interconnectedness is core to Stoic ethics.
The family unit was seen as particularly important.
Absolutely. Hierocles, a later Stoic, wrote beautifully about this. He said things like, no one holds a closer affinity to a man than his spouse. No one comes closer to his skin than his child. He saw marriage as a deep yoking of fate, body, and soul.
That emphasizes a really deep bond and shared responsibility.
It does. And Marcus Aurelius didn't shy away from the effort involved. He advised, love those men whom thy fate it is to live with, but love them truly. Rutherford notes this duty to engage authentically, even when it's hard, is essential for us as social beings striving for virtue.
So for parents, this reinforces teaching empathy, respect within the family, and helping kids see their place not just as individuals, but as part of a connected whole.
Exactly. These bonds aren't optional extras. They're fundamental to a flourishing life. It cultivates that sense of belonging, mutual support, and responsibility towards others, starting right in the home.
Now, Epictetus had this interesting way of talking about our profession or our roles. What was that definition of a human being?
It's quite something. He defined a human being as one who has nothing more authoritative than volition prohairesis.
Prohairesis, that's our faculty of rational choice.
Yes, our ability to judge, choose, assent. He said we hold everything else subordinate to that, keeping our volition unenslaved and sovereign. That rational choice is our core identity.
And that identity comes with responsibilities.
Definitely. A. Long points out Epictetus believed we have responsibilities to them others, not only in the specific areas of family and civic relationships, but also in the values we exhibit and in the charity we should show to those whose outlook is different. It's a broad sense of duty.
So it's not just about obeying rules, but about living our values and being considerate even to those we disagree with.
Yes, acting as a good citizen of the cosmos, you could say.
How does this translate for kids, understanding their roles?
You can help them see they have different roles: child, sibling, friend, student, teammate. And each role comes with what the Stoics called appropriate acts, kathokonta.
Appropriate acts? Like
Like being respectful to parents, role of child, being supportive of siblings, role of sibling, being honest with friends, role of friend, being diligent in studies, role of student. These aren't arbitrary rules, but actions that naturally align with fulfilling that role virtuously.
So it guides them towards integrity and positive contribution in all areas of their life.
Exactly. Living consistently with virtue across all their roles.
Finally, the Stoics were also really aware of who we hang out with, weren't they? The company we keep.
Acutely aware. Epictetus warned us to consider very carefully whom we spend time with, what influence they might have on us, how we might unwittingly end up aping what they think and do.
We absorb things unconsciously.
Absolutely. Habits, attitudes, values, they rub off. Sellers mentions Epictetus's analogy of a recovering alcoholic. A support group provides encouragement, while old drinking buddies present temptation. Our environment shapes us.
Parents know this instinctively about friends influencing their kids.
Right. Stoicism just gives it a clear philosophical underpinning. It's a call to be intentional about our social environment.
So the advice for parents is to guide kids, gently but firmly, towards choosing friends and influences that support their growth in virtue and resilience.
Yes. Help them discern which relationships uplift them and align with the kind of person they want to become, and which might pull them down or lead them away from their goals. It's not about controlling their friendships, but equipping them with the wisdom to choose well for themselves, fostering a positive ecosystem for their character development. Hashtag tag tag outro.
Wow. Okay, that was a really rich exploration. We covered a lot of ground there. We started by busting that myth about Stoics being emotionless.
Right, emphasizing it's about understanding and transforming emotions, not suppressing them.
Then the huge one, the dichotomy of control. Separating what's in our power, our judgments, our responses from what isn't.
Which led right into how our judgments, not events themselves, cause distress and how we can work on those judgments.
We talked about building character through those four cardinal virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, moderation, and that optimistic view that we're naturally inclined towards virtue.
And then embracing adversity, premeditatio malorum, and turning obstacles into fuel for growth with those powerful echoes of Viktor Frankl.
And finally, tying it all together with our social nature, our roles, responsibilities, and the company we keep.
It's a lot, but these aren't just abstract ideas. They are genuinely practical mental tools, time-tested tools.
For you, the parent listening, this offers a really solid framework, doesn't it? A way to model and teach resilience, integrity, wisdom.
Exactly. Equipping your kids with that inner fortress, helping them not just cope, but actually thrive through challenges.
And it's a journey, right? As Seneca said, learning to live well can take a lifetime.
Absolutely. It's ongoing practice for us as parents, just as much as for our kids. We're all learning and growing together.
So let's end with a thought inspired by Marcus Aurelius. He wrote something like, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Just be one."
Powerful. Action over theory.
So for you, the Stoic parent, or aspiring Stoic parent, listening now, the challenge isn't just learning this stuff, it's living it. So here's the question to ponder. What single Stoic principle will you choose to consciously, visibly practice, starting today? How will you embody it, not just for yourself, but to actively inspire that resilience in your children from the inside out?
That's the real work and the real reward.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Deep Dive. We hope this gives you valuable insights and, even more importantly, practical steps you can take on your parenting journey. Until next time, keep thinking, keep growing, and keep diving deep.